it seems like to me is this org that has been created, that you have to protect the org. Because if the org, known as the organization, right? We're not talking about like Star Trek type stuff. It's literally the organization that if this happens, the org goes away and all of these people are going to get hurt. So it's okay if this one person experiences trauma, right? And there's almost this sacrifice of people so that the org can continue. And I like that doesn't jive with me very well. We've been called out of one of the largest churches in America. We were called out of it prior actually to some of the things that actually recently happened there. But what we started seeing was that the org had become unhealthy.
Yes.
The org had some toxicity in it. But that's not even why we left, because we loved the people there. Right? God told us to leave. We were coming to Utah. We were going to do something different. We actually had a word of prophecy given to us by one of the leaders in that org, right? In that church, that said that the Cohens were being called out from that location, from that place, because the place couldn't provide what he was calling us into. So there was no division, no divisiveness. We had a beautiful send off. We loved the people. And shortly afterwards, we saw that toxicity start causing issues, right? So when you talk about giants, but it's not just a church, right? What is that? What do you mean when you start talking about giants?
So, you use the word org. I could also use the word system. So any
Yeah.
of those systems that are like that, just some personal examples real quick because these are things that God used to develop in me enough faith, I guess, that I could trust him to actually stand and answer the call to courage. So
Yeah.
in I do a word of the year, not every year, but a lot of years I do that. And in 2019, my word of the year was actually brave. And 2 years prior to that, I had had a really unhealthy relationship as a teenager, and it was a very dangerous situation that I was in, actually. And in 2017, God told me that I needed to contact that person and tell him I forgave him. And I was
Hmm.
like, I leaned over to my husband. We were actually in church. And I'm like, so God just told me that I need to tell so and so that I need to forgive him. And my husband was like, no, you don't. Like, we're not contacting this person because this could be really unsafe. So in 2019, my word is brave. I'm like, okay, I just lean into it. And sure enough, that would be the year that God would kind of stir in me this. And he was so loud, it was like I couldn't mistake it, and ultimately ended up having a phone call with a person who I hadn't spoken to him in nearly 25 years at that point. And this was someone who had hurt me deeply. And
Wow.
I told him, I forgive you. Um,
Wow.
he didn't apologize for anything. He didn't acknowledge, he kind of dismissed it actually. Well, we were kids, but I came away from that and I was like, nothing bad happened. Like, okay, So that was kind of the first step. But for me, that was a giant to stand there and to make that phone call and to trust that God was going to protect me in this thing that he had called me to. That was a giant for me.